Hey, this is John Angus.
And this is Jack.
We're from the Trews, and you're watching The Hard Rock Show.
Hi, welcome to The Hard Rock Show. I'm Shane.
I'm Andrew.
And as usual, we've got more to get through this week than we really need.
It gets more than, and not less. It just gets crazier every week. So we had, I think, 1 or 2 slow weeks, and it's just whatever was slow in those couple of weeks has now just exploded onto us. So
Keeps it fun.
it does. Definitely not boring.
No.
So
without further ado, we'll jump straight into the Hard Rock
Rock
happenings,
happenings.
where we'll talk about the news.
Yep. Go on. Go.
Okay, first thing I want to point out is that Diamond Head, who are one of the leaders of the new wave of British heavy metal from back in the day.
Influenced the likes of Metallica and plenty of others, but
anybody that plays
anything thrash.
Saxon, they've influenced them all.
Yep.
They're a fantastic band.
Yes, they are.
They've just reissued their absolutely phenomenal album, Lightning to the Nations.
Yep.
It's now coming out as a deluxe box set with 7 additional tracks. So these tracks are all B-sides and rarities.
Yep.
So
it's even better then, because you like that kind of stuff. So I know I do anyway, but yeah.
Lightning to the Nations was just a fantastic album. I mean, a lot of people had never heard of Diamond Head until Metallica started covering them.
Yep.
And Metallica have pretty much covered the entire Lightning to the Nations album these days. So definitely check that one out. I will be.
For sure, yes. All right, I'll get into one of mine, which is a bit of a funnier one. Now, Nickelback have copped plenty of flack so far for their latest attempt, I guess we should call it. Now, it just keeps piling on thick and fast for these guys, so get a load of this. There are 20,000 people plus that have signed a petition now to not have Nickelback play as the halftime entertainment of a major NFL game in Detroit. Now, that's pretty good. I mean, Detroit, Rock City, whatever else have you, and they're talking about Nickelback, and there are 20,000 people plus that are signing up and saying, no, we don't want Nickelback.
Well, I've heard the new stuff, and I'd sign that petition too if I lived in Detroit.
I haven't bothered to listen to it yet. I've just heard that much bad press. I'm probably not going to bother. Anyway, also on the same topic, Nickelback have also been voted as the band most likely to see that you don't get laid, whether you're a guy or a girl, if you mention that you like these guys at any given night. So if you're looking for some action, don't mention Nickelback. Just keep that one as a closet fan thing, shall we say.
Yeah.
One of your guilty pleasures that just should not be named.
Absolutely. Wendy Dio plans to re-release the Hearing Aid project from probably 20 years ago or more. It featured 40 musicians that had members from Motley Crue, Judas Priest, Twisted Sister, Iron Maiden,
royalty,
Quiet Riot. There were some fantastic names on this project. Due to legal things back in the day, it never came out on CD. It was only ever released on cassette and vinyl. So Wendy wants to release it as a CD, DVD package, because apparently there's a lot of footage from the recording process.
Well, there'd be a lot more impetus behind that now too after the passing of Dio and stuff. So,
I think that's partly why she wants to bring it out now.
Yep.
But for anybody that hasn't heard it, there's a lot of good stuff on it, and it'll be really nice to hear it remastered on CD.
Yeah.
And see some of this behind the scenes footage. So
it'd be good to see things back in the glory days, so to speak. And
I'm definitely looking forward to that package.
I'll be looking for that one for sure. All right, I got another one. Now, I don't know if we did or didn't mention it, but there's been a big thing with Judas Priest, in particular Rob Halford's now ex-manager. He got the sack, and there was a lot of hard words said back and forth about a month or 2 ago now, I think it was, maybe slightly longer.
Bit of mudslinging.
Yeah, let's just say that. Names like leeches and things like this are being thrown around. But said ex-manager is now suing Rob Halford and Judas Priest for $50 million. So I personally think it can go right. I don't think he's got a chance in hell, but I'm not a lawyer and it's America, so who knows what the hell's going to happen. But just thought you guys would all like to know that one, and maybe if you want to throw your support behind the mighty Judas Priest, and particularly the metal god that is Halford, then maybe go throw some mud back at that guy. Let's incite some mudslinging of our own.
Why not? Chris Cornell has stated that the work on the new Soundgarden album is almost done.
First one for a long time.
Long time. They've been broken up for a long time. I can't wait for this album. I've always been a Soundgarden fan.
Same here.
And for anybody that's going to the big day out, I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing Soundgarden just like I am.
And if you don't know who they are because you're too young, do yourself a favour and check them out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Worth it. Very worth it. One of the better grunge bands of the day, I guess, if you want to classify them as that. But yeah, they were one of the better
everyone always
ones.
goes on about Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and I would put Alice in Chains
Yep.
and Soundgarden way above
those
both
two.
of those.
Yep, in my opinion as well.
Yep.
Alice in Chains for me were the best grunge era band, but they were all good. But yeah, I'll go on to my final one now, which is a kind of a two stories in one kind of thing, I guess. Now, Scott Ian of Anthrax has come out and said that while their new album, Worship Metal, has gone really, really well, they've
Worship
done...
Music.
Oh, sorry, Worship Music. I'm thinking of the Worship now because they keep tagging their posts on Facebook with it. Yeah, sorry about that. Worship Metal, I'll get it right.
Worship Music.
I got it wrong again, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I'm an absolute dick. Worship Music, there we go. Insert disclaimer here, we shouldn't drink before we film, but anyway... actually, no,
Works
we should.
for me.
Yeah, apparently not for me. But it has before. Oh, anyway, we're getting way off topic. They've moved 30,000 units in their first week of sales, which is good these days. But he's saying back in '93, whichever album it was back then, they moved 110,000 units in their first.
Sound of White Noise, I think it was.
Might be, yeah. 110,000 units in their first week of sales and entered the charts at number 7. He thinks a lot of that is because he believes, and he reckons he can back it up in some way, shape or form, is that for every one person that bought the album, he thinks that 4 people downloaded it illegally. Yeah. At the same time, Pete Townsend has come out and slammed iTunes for basically ripping off the musicians and all those involved in the industry without actually giving anything back to the industry itself. He's calling on iTunes to put anything back into the industry, supply some support and stuff for artists and whatever else like the record labels used to do. Yep. It's just a whole big thing about, do you download legally, illegally? Everyone does it, we all know it, but I personally feel that if you download something and you like it, you go and buy it. That's my personal opinion. If you don't like it, you delete it and get rid of it, I reckon. But then again, if you want to listen to something for free, just look on YouTube. Yeah. Everyone's got the songs and the clips up there anyway, but... Definitely. Yeah, just some food for thought on that one, I reckon. So, a bit interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last but not least, is Melbourne metal icons, I guess you'd call them. They've been around for a long time, and they're a great band.
They are.
Medusa, they're currently looking for a drummer. So, if anybody's interested in applying for the position, the details will be on the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
Hit them up, and good luck.
Yeah, and good luck to Medusa filling that too. The previous drummer, Nick, was good, but apparently he's had to...
He was great.
Yeah, he had to hang him up, so best wishes to all involved moving forward, and hopefully the Medusa machine gets back into the gear of continuing the new writing they were working on before, so that'll be good.
On to some releases.
Yes.
Megadeth, 13. Yeah. It's out, it's great.
I love it, it's a good album. I will say one thing though, I'm going to go on the record, and I've told you it before, but I don't think it's as hard-hitting as Endgame was.
Which was their last album?
Yeah, the one before this one. Now, it's still good, don't get me wrong. I'm not canning it for all you massive Megadeth fans out there. I'm probably going to cop some flack over this anyway, but I just don't think it punches you in the face as much as Endgame does, but it's still a good, great album. Don't get me wrong, I do like it.
Possibly you're right, it doesn't pack the punch that Endgame did, but it is probably one of their most consistent albums in years and years.
I'll go along with that.
And it's fantastic. And it's definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely.
So get out there and get it. And check it out.
Worth it. We've listened to it. I love it.
You've got a couple of favourites off it?
I reckon... now I've got to remember them. We didn't write them down. Wrecker. I liked that one. And... what's that? Deadly Nightshade. That's the other one. Okay. Yep. Deadly Nightshade and Wrecker. I like those two off the album. I reckon they're two standouts for me, personally.
I don't have a favourite. I just love the entire album. It's fucking awesome.
Well, there you go with the F-bomb again. There's 2 weeks in a row. You're starting the ball.
I don't care.
I think we can just ride it out the window. Fuck it. Let's go.
Next release, speaking of F-bombs, because it's full of them, is Steel Panther's latest album, Balls Out. Now, this one, don't get me wrong, it's most definitely a Steel Panther album, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as their first album.
I would agree with you there. It's got some good moments on there. A couple of the tracks I like on this one were 17 Girls in a Row and It Won't Suck Itself. Now, for all of you emancipated females out there, you probably won't like this album, but for all the guys out there that remember the good old days, then this is definitely throwing back to that kind of stuff. So
it is a cool album. It's very cool. And it's, like I said, it's very much a Steel Panther album.
And it's all tongue-in-cheek.
Very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as the first album.
No, I would agree with you, but it's still a good album. I like it.
Feel the Steel, you just can't go past that one. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth getting if you're a fan of Steel Panther, because
it's more awesome. Of the same. You can't go wrong with this. So.
And again, they're going to be out here for Soundwave in 2012, so get down there and rock hard in the mosh pit.
For sure.
Last release we've got for you this week is Kittie.
Yep.
Their latest album's called I've Failed You.
Yep.
Now, they've been around since probably about 98, I think.
Yep.
They started as teenage girls, and they've gone through a hell of a lot of lineup changes as well.
Very different now from when they started too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you listen to their first album and then put this one on, it's like two different bands.
Yeah.
I think there's been a massive influence from, say, the Arch Enemy sort of stuff on them these days. They've ditched the whole new metal vibe that they had back in the early days, and they've moved on, and they've become a really, really cool metal band.
Yeah.
And that's all I can really say about it.
Yeah.
It's just a cool album from start to finish.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of tracks on this I like. One is Empire's Part 2. It's a 2-part song. The first one's a little acoustic almost kind of piece to it. The other one is, I forget the name of it now. I'm not going to bother rambling on. We're probably running out of time as it is. But for me, this album, it pushes the limits of what I will enjoy when it comes to screaming type stuff. I've always had more appreciation for singing than for screaming, but this does have a very good balance. So it is right sort of on the edge for me personally, but it is still very good and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So it is worth getting if you like this band. And
Definitely.
For seriously, this chick can probably out death growl most guys.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very well done.
She's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for the Hard Rock Happenings.
Yep.
Now we've got to move right on.
Yep.
This is our feature artist for the week.
Yep.
Now, they're not a hard rock band by any stretch, but they are a rock band.
Definitely.
And they're very cool.
Yep.
Here's an interview that we did with the Trews. They're from Canada.
Yep.
And we did this interview at the Cherry Bar, so thanks to the Cherry Bar for giving us access to the backstage area to hang out with the band and do this interview.
Yep.
Now here it is, our interview with the Trews.
Enjoy.
You want to just introduce yourselves and tell us what you're playing?
Yeah. I'm John Angus McDonald, the lead guitar player for the Trews.
I'm Jack Siprick, and I play the bass.
Tell us a little bit how the Trews came together.
Been together over a decade now. We all came together in high school to start playing, but known each other for much longer than that. We kind of grew up together, so sort of a natural fit that we all sort of fell into music and started playing in our hometown of Antigonish, which is a real small town, so it was really fuck all else to do, so we started playing together, and that became what was a hobby and a pastime became like a passion, and then a job and a career, and lo and behold, we're in Melbourne.
You had a few name changes before in the early
Yeah.
before you actually settled on the Trews.
God damn the internet. Nobody would ever have known that, 20 years ago, yeah.
Including a name that came from Monty Python.
Yeah, Monty Python. That was short-lived. For about a year and a half, we went, or maybe 2 years, we went under One Eye Trouser. And then we shortened it to Trouser just because we're too lazy to change it entirely. And then when we were going to release our first EP, we were sent some legal notices from a band that had the name already, and they were going to sue us. So we changed it to the Trews, which means the same thing. And we thought it had a catchy ring to it, and it's been that way ever since.
It's hard to come up with a name, man.
It's really hard. Aerosmith was already taken. Motorhead was taken. Led Zeppelin was taken. The Rolling Stones was taken. You just go through the list, and all the good ones are taken.
Hope and Ruin is your fourth album.
Yeah.
The first three records have all gone gold. What's the overall goal for Hope and Ruin?
It'd be nice to see it do that as well. It's still early days, it hasn't even been out 6 months. So, and records aren't really flying off the shelves as fast as they were when we first came out, which is only, our first album came out in 2003, so it hasn't even been that long. But things have changed drastically, there's different ways of quantifying success, and this summer we had some of the best crowds, most enthusiastic and biggest numbers of our entire career. We played great big festivals back home that were really gratifying to play, and the new material has become such a huge part of the set that it feels like success, even though it's harder to quantify by the numbers. I mean, it's doing really it's doing really well as it is, but yeah, we'd like to see it do as well as the others for sure.
Did you ever think when you started the band in the early days that you would sell over 200,000 albums and have 11 top 10 singles in Canada?
I don't think those are really things that even cross your mind. Like when you're young, you're like, oh, is that even possible? I don't know. Just the harder that you work, the more it seems attainable, I guess.
So how does it feel now that you have achieved that kind of level?
It just feels natural. It feels like it's just our job, and
Feels like life.
yeah, it feels.
Of course, as soon as you get to one,
Can't think of anything else.
as soon as you get to the top of one mountain, you look ahead to the next, summit you got to climb. And there's plenty of things we haven't achieved, so lots to keep us driving towards, and mostly just the goal of making more music, together.
The Trews have shared the stage with some rock and roll royalty, Rolling Stones and Robert Plant, to name a few. How does it feel to share a stage with such iconic performers?
It's like unforgettable, but at the same time, I have almost no recollection of it. 'Cause
That was the alcohol.
no, it's not the alcohol. You can be sober and still forget everything, just because it's so nerve-wracking to be in the same, 50-foot radius of those guys.
Yeah, the Stones one was a real rush. We did a whole tour with Plant, so it was much more, casual. We got to know him a little bit, and he would come by the dressing room and say hey, or come by sound check, and that was really cool and great. And but with the Stones, it was just all a whirlwind. Like the day before, we got called down to do the show, and it was pretty it was a huge rush. Such big heroes of ours, so it was a great moment, and we all have framed photograph on the wall of us and the boys, and that's a huge memory we cherish. Proof that it happened.
Yeah, good thing.
So aside from the Stones and Robert Plant, you've also played with Kiss, Kid Rock, Nickelback, Cheap Trick. Do you have any stories from touring with these guys that stand out? Any special memories?
We got to meet Kiss backstage, and it was right before they went on, so they were all dressed up. So each one of them was like a foot taller than us, and they looked like action figures. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah. Kid Rock was a lot of fun too. That was one of the more recent tours we did. Did it in May, and he's like a party on wheels kind of thing. His dressing room is so tricked out. He's got like his whole sound system complete with scratching record system. If he wants to just scratch in the middle of a party, he can. And the whole a hockey arena dressing room has never so quickly turned into a Las Vegas party as when that guy's on the road. And he's really hospitable. He's a great host. He would have us by every night that we could get together, and we'd be doing a lot of drinking and listening to music, and it was full on like that for a couple of weeks. It was great.
With having so many bands already you've worked with, is there anyone on your sort of wish list that you do want to perform with?
Since we're here, AC/DC, we've come so close in so many ways to AC/DC without ever having bumped into them, but our record was mixed by Mike Fraser, who's been mixing their every record since Razor's Edge. He's from Vancouver, and AC/DC do a lot of recording out there, actually, at Little Mountain Sound and now the Warehouse. And I'm very good friends with one of their guitar techs, Rick St. Pierre, who endorses us for Wizard Amps back home. And he had me down to an AC/DC play Toronto, and I had a backstage pass, and I was running around, but I missed them. I just keep missing them, so they're definitely on my wish list. And Aerosmith as well, who I've met Steven Tyler, but we never played with them, so I'd definitely love to play with them.
So who would be some influences on your own musical career?
Well, everybody we've been talking about, the Stones and Zepp and Aerosmith and AC/DC and Cheap Trick, and then beyond that too, into there's definitely some great new music happening that we see all around us. So I wouldn't say it's like seminal influence, but you can never shut yourself off to what's happening, in your own time.
Within the band, you've got brothers and a cousin. Is there ever any fights that, family feuds that come out when you're touring together, or is it hard to be on the road with family?
I think there's just like a dynamic that comes out when there's two brothers that are going to be competing at the same time as getting along better than anybody else. It's like something that other people don't really share unless they're really close. But it's
Just the way I get asked this question in every interview, and to what degree to lie is all I keep thinking about.
So what's next for the Trews?
3 more weeks in Australia and 2 weeks in the UK, and then North America for 6 months after that. I don't know what comes next summer.
Yeah, what'll happen after that is anybody's guess. But hopefully by then we'll be itching to write some more material and get back in the studio. That's generally how it goes.
How do you find, with the advent of iTunes and all that sort of stuff, do you find your digital sales are now outdoing your hard copy sales?
This is the first record where it's close to being on par. Every other record has been such a small percentage was digital, and this is the first record where we're selling almost as many digital singles and albums as we are hard copy records, which I guess is just a sign of the times. You can't really call it good or bad, or but I have a lot of hope for the future with these streaming sites, and I like the idea of having the history of recorded music at your fingertips. I think that's a really exciting development with Spotify and all that stuff, and I'm sure that'll all blossom in the next year to 2 years, and we'll all be digesting music completely differently in 5 years than we have been in the last 5 years. And so I don't think you can really halt progress. I mean, it's just inevitable,
Do you find that you have, with the digital stuff now catching up, do you find it's more individual songs, or are people downloading the entire album, or?
Both. I mean, I think we sold more individual singles than we have entire albums, because it's cheaper and easier, and if you hear one song on the radio, you buy the one song, and not everybody's going to buy the one song and then buy the whole record. Some people are just in it. It's kind of a singles world in a lot of ways online. But yeah, I mean, that's just like the old days of the 45. It was a singles world back then too, so it might just be back to that.
What's the scene like over in Canada? We've worked with another band over there called The Worship, and the singer has described to us as a very competitive scene over there. It's hard to get a gig. You've got to try and go sort of 2 to 3 weeks out. There's sort of venues use one promoter to try and lock in everything at the one place and stuff. What's the overall scene like, and how hard is it for a band sort of starting out to get to where you guys are today?
It's a good question. I think every band has their own experience, We can only draw from our experience, and we were just fanatical about making sure we made a pact we wouldn't get day jobs. So we just worked really hard to get gigs, and when they wouldn't hire us as one band name, we'd go under another band name and play gigs that way. And we were just driven to get better and turn people on and get our music heard. And I think if you have the right amount of drive, not to take anything away from, I don't know your friend's band, but I think you can make it happen. I think every scene is as competitive as the next scene. There's lots of bands clamoring for that spot on stage, but trick is just try to be the best one, I guess, or
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, we're back. That was our interview with our feature band of the week, the Trews from Canada.
And special thanks to the guys for the time, because they were very much on time constraints that night.
They were, yes. Definitely thank you for sitting down with us and giving us probably half an hour they spent with us in the end.
In the end, by the time we got set up and everything, so very much thank you to the guys. So
definitely. Now, they're a multi-platinum band in Canada.
Yes, they are. They've got a very good career over there.
A huge career over there.
Yeah.
And it's finally starting to spill out into the rest of the world for them.
Well, they're finally getting commercial radio play over here. Triple M were playing
Hope and
Ruin lately, So
they've had 11 top 10 singles in Canada.
Yeah.
They've sold 250,000 records. They're doing very well.
And for those of you who think that's just Canada, don't think that, because they blitz Australia population-wise, and there is a huge industry over there for music. It rivals America, in my opinion, but so there are a lot of bands that go over there, and Canada is underrated, so don't dismiss it.
There's a heap of amazing talent that's come out of Canada over the years.
Look at the Tea Party alone for me.
Jeff Martin, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hope and Ruin is their 4th album.
Yep.
And I think it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but we were talking about the Powderfinger from Australia, the kind of career comparison.
Yeah.
Whereas Powderfinger started out as a lot more of a rock band, and they kind of mellowed out with every album that they've done.
Yep.
And it seems like that's what the Trews have kind of done. I'm not sure whether it's been done on purpose or whether it's just been a natural
I think it's a natural progression for these guys, yeah.
Their first couple of albums were a lot rockier than Hope and Ruin, but Hope and Ruin still has some awesome rocky moments on it.
Yeah.
One of my favourite tracks off the album is one of the probably rockier
I reckon
tracks
it's the
on it.
heaviest track on the album, personally, yeah.
It's called People of the Deer.
It's one of my personal favourites as well. We both picked the same track. It's got the best, one of the best riffs on the album, and it's just got a really good rhythm, and the vocals really do push the limits of what he's able to do, and it's really well done.
Influence-wise, I'm not really sure. We were talking about this
It is
earlier.
a bit hard to peg.
We know that they're influenced by the earlier rock bands like
Yeah.
the Beatles and the Stones
Yeah,
and,
yep.
and Led Zeppelin and
Yep.
things like that. But as far as modern day influences go, they're really hard to pick. They're sort of in a league of their own.
Now, we were also talking before, and I brought up that a really interesting lineup that I think would really work for these guys. If you had Stonefield from Australia, along with Free to Run from Australia, and then these guys doing the headline, that'd be an awesome night, I reckon. You'd get the same sort of a vibe going across. So if you like either of those two unsigned bands, then these are a good fit.
Must add that while they were in Australia, they had Dead Star Renegade, Arcane Saints, and Sarah McLeod support them, which is
really good.
They're fantastic artists from Australia as well.
No disrespect to those bands, well, I was just thinking about the ideal lineup that I think personally would work. Talking about the influence and stuff, for me personally, I hear Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
I hear the one I couldn't remember before was Cat Stevens.
Okay.
There's a Cat Stevens-ish sort of a vibe sometimes. There's also a Radiohead vibe sometimes.
Yusuf Islam.
Yeah, that one now, whatever he wants to call himself, I don't really care about that. But just, it's a really big throwback to the old, I don't know, probably, the oldies that your parents probably listen to these days.
70s kind of rock. Yeah, 60s, 70s.
Yeah, exactly. It goes right back to that, but at the same time, they do have modern comparisons, and it does get very good rock. And the solos that are on the album are probably the best rock moments, I think, in my opinion. The solo work is really well done.
They are a very talented bunch of musicians. Great lyricists as well.
Yeah,
There's some
very good topics.
Really good lyrical content on these albums. Let's have a look at one of their clips.
Yep.
This is the latest single from the album of the name Hope and Ruin.
Yep.
It's called The World I Know.
Yep.
And this is another one of the more rocky sort of
yeah.
tracks off the album too. So enjoy.
Hey there, fancy meeting you here. Next time, don't be a stranger. Life on the line in the long run. We all go under. Whoa, the world I know. Whoa, it comes and goes. Whoa, it turns too slow. Whoa, the world I know's done. It might get better in the long run. You won't regret it when it's hard won. Just don't sweat it when the end comes. We all go under. Whoa, the world I know. Whoa, it comes and goes. Whoa, it turns too slow. Whoa, the world I know. The world I know. Another day passing away. I hope to learn from my mistakes. Everyone must feel the same. Another day under the gun, racing the clock, chasing the sun. I wanna feel it, everyone. Follow me, it's time to run. Whoa, 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 the world I know. Whoa, it comes and
All right, we're back.
Now, I want to say that on this album, we both, we usually pick a couple of favourites. You've got your one standout track for this one. I've got another one that I'm going to go on record as saying that I do like. It's called Stay With Me. It's a ballad. It's definitely a ballad. There's no bones about it. And I'm going to go on record as saying I really, really like this ballad. I think it's very well done. I could say really, 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 but I'm not going to. But
You just kind of did,
Yeah,
and thank
I know.
you for that. I really appreciate a really, really, really moment.
I figured we'd all get a kick out of that, especially if we sent our blooper episode. But anyway, yeah, I do really like that ballad. I think it's very well done. Also, for you metal elitists and whatever else have you out there, remember this is the Hard Rock Show. We're not going to cover one genre to another. We'll cover whatever we think rocks, and we do think this album rocks. I do personally. But for all you metal
Not so much
elitists,
the album, but the band.
Yeah.
I mean, the album does too, don't get us wrong.
the older stuff is definitely more rock than this latest release. It's their softest release to date, but
we
it's
just
still
think
a good one.
they're a really cool band.
Yeah, no,
and they're definitely worth checking out.
Very good sound too. Very well rounded out sound. There's nothing wrong in the mix at all with this album. It's very well done. But for the heavier heads out there, you want to get a chick, you want to be able to have a bit of fun. This might be the kind of album. It's kind of hard to get a chick in the mood with Bark at the Moon, so
I can smell controversy.
we're good at this. So, but I figured that'd be a bit of fun as well. So just have an open mind with this album. We did say we'd throw some different stuff out there, so it is worth it. It is a good rock album. I do like it.
It is a good rock album.
Yeah.
And I did only pick one track as a favourite. That's not to say that I don't like the rest of the album.
That's
I
right.
do. I really do like the single from the album, Hope and Ruin, the first single. It's a very radio friendly track, but it's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like The World I Know as well. I think that's a
The
really
World
good
I
song.
Know is a great track. That's why we've picked it as the clip that we're playing.
One we both enjoy. So yeah, nothing wrong with this album at all. It's very good. So
absolutely.
But I think we are about out of time, aren't we?
Yeah. So definitely check out the Trews. Check out everything that we've spoken about on this episode.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, Megadeth's new album, Kittie's new album, Steel Panther.
Yep.
Get out to the big day out and see Soundgarden because you may or may not ever see them again.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be awesome.
And if you're a drummer, look up Medusa.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. If you're interested in taking over the drum slot on one of Melbourne's longest and
probably
best and heaviest metal bands, then look up Medusa.
Yep.
But that's all for the Hard Rock Show this week. So.
So I guess until next time, drink up
and rock on.
fucking worship. Fucking retard.
No, that was cool. It was almost like we set it up and did it on purpose.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Can't believe I fucking did that. I'm a fuckwit.